It's going to be interesting when they're about 15 minutes each, so not too long. They need to get their heads down, get into their rhythm and routine pretty quickly. With only 30 minutes now, this race will be. It looks like.
I think we go rolling start.
Rolling start, yeah, and not even side by side. So we are go, and this is the restart. And already we've got a change for the lead, have we? Can he change before the line though?
No, exactly. You can't, and that's why he suddenly stepped off and realised he'd made a mistake. And in a way, I hope that that's not going to be too late, because he's just instantly dropped himself back down to second. But I think he got slightly caught out there and went beasting it up. And it looks like, so we've got the Caterham in the lead as it stands at the moment. Second is Clark, the Porsche. Then it is the silver BMW there, number 66 of David Gardner and Chris Mills in third position.
F1 being very cautious.
They are, aren't they? Darren Goes has got up to fourth, just ahead of number 10 Ryan Still. That's Saxo back there. Still, there's one or two that seem to be off the pace, and it looks like Simon Clark has now dropped himself down to fourth. Darren Goes contact with the BMW. He's kind of muscling himself up a little bit quicker than he needs to there. It's early stages. It looked like he was trying to tame a bucking bronco there as they disappeared out of our sight. He's going to be down in third for definite, but he may find himself a little bit further. I'm not sure why he felt the need to get up there that quickly, and I'm worried that Simon Clark's actually got a bit of an issue, because that black and orange Porsche just seemed to be dropping away from everyone. But Callum McDougall and Ben Simonds in the white Caterham comfortably in the lead now. Second is, I couldn't tell which one that was with the dirt on the screen, I'm afraid there, so it's a little bit tricky to see. It is the silver BMW 66, David Gardner and Chris Mills in third. In second. In third, I'm pretty sure, was still Darren Goes. And from thereafter, we'll need to hang fire for them to come through in what will be tricky conditions out there on the back part of this circuit, I'm sure.
Yes, and how heavy it has rained out the back as well. It's very wet on the Indy circuit part, so it's going to be damp under those trees out in the woods. But it is Darren Goes now. Look at the pace of that Seat. Going to try and come closer now to the back of the BMW after a little bit of contact earlier on. The Gardner Mills BMW there as they go very bunch up as they go into Paddock Bend for the second time.
Yeah, that's it means that in fourth position is Steele in that number 10 Saxo. Down to fifth now is Simon Clark after that sort of false start, and I hope he's just there probably saying, look guys, make a mistake.
There goes around the outside. Can he do it around Graham Hill? Don't usually see this very often. He's going to try it around the Brave line though, and he's done it. Can he keep his foot in as they go down the Cooper Straight, or will the BMW of Gardner and Mills come up the inside? No, that's a good move from Goes. Did it shut the door at the last minute though?
Yes, it was. I mean, it was, to be honest with you, I guess you've got an element that in the wet conditions, the outside line can invariably be the better one, because you're looking for the marbles to be out there, although it's not fully wet. And we're just looking down there, the 59 car has stopped. That's the House and Tate car. Renault Clio is being pushed out of the way. I think I remember that having issues in the qualifying as well, unfortunately. So still their trials and tribulations continue. Now we've got the sun out with the sort of like the damp surface means that you're going to have quite a challenge with the glare, to be honest with you, as well.
Fastest sector one from the Jones pairing in number 11.
MR2 rotors.
That's it.
That's a wicked car, and I did notice it was right on the back.
That's the one you spotted in qualifying, wasn't it?
Yeah,
very nice.
I just love it. I don't know why. I just really like that car. Here come the leaders, and it's a new leader. It is Darren Goes. Not only moved up to second, he's got past the Caterham now. The McDougal and Simon Caterham is down to second. Oh, and through the gravel, but powered through it is Steele in that black Saxo, but he's managed to pull it through. He's lost out to the Porsche of Clark, and he's going to lose out to the number 11 Jones and Jones MR2 as well. So down through to sixth position now goes the Saxo of Steele, just round wide as he came onto the start-finish straight. Nothing too dramatic, but he certainly had to keep his foot in there.
Yeah, Darren Goes very wide around Druids, but he's got a good lead now. He can afford to make little errors like that. He wasn't hugging the curb at all around the hairpin, but the mistake from the Saxos has such a good qualifying earlier on, but managed to pull his way out of the gravel trap around Clark curve, and he's not letting the MR2 of Jones and Jones get away either.
No, in fairness, but you know, he's going to be frustrated he's down there, because you know, he is in the same Clark as the McDougal and Simon and the Clark Porsche, so he wants to sort of be up there. He's got the power. I mean, it really is a phenomenal car, that Saxo, whatever they've done. Now I'm just checking if they got this all the way round. They've got the slippery flags. That will be primarily, I'm sure, going down into there, but hoping that doesn't mean that something's been dumped on the start-finish straight. It might not be slippery surface, it might actually be the bit of debris there, but I can't see anything at the moment. So Darren Goes, the car number 22, has got himself up to the lead, which is where, you know, I'd said I would expect him to be, and he has got himself there now, ahead of the number 14 Caterham of McDougal and Simon. Third position is the BMW of David Gardner and Chris Mills. Done a great job, sat there in third place. Simon Clark, are we going to see him come good shortly? Still sat there in fourth. It's all kind of spread out a little bit at the moment, these top four, but I think in these conditions it's not a bad idea. It's only those four that are spread out because we've got a bit of a gap before we get to Jason and Tony Jones's number 11 MR2 and the Citroen Saxo, the number 10 car of Ryan Steele. I thought he got a great run onto the start-finish straight. It just kind of maxed out for him a little bit, but he's still having a little snifter as they get towards Paddock Hill. Not quite close enough. And it's the number 3 car of Mike Merris, the Seat Leon, that is then sat a little bit adrift there, but he's sat in 6th position from 11th on the grid, so that's a good performance.
It is, yeah, and Goes set the fastest lap again of anyone in the last lap of 1:43.4. It's back to over 4th position as the Jones MR2 runs wide, and that's going to allow Steele in the number 10 Citroen Saxo through. Look at the pace of that Saxo. Really good on the brakes as well. Again, it stopped for 30s, and he's moved back into 4th position after losing out with that trip through the gravel at Clark Curve.
Yeah, just did the typical sort of small car cocking the rear wheel as he turned left at Surtees, but he got the job done. And yes, he was helped, wasn't he, by the number 11 car, just running a little bit wide coming out of Graham Hill Bend, but he still had a lot of work to do to get himself diving up the inside, and that's exactly what he did. And he's got himself back up into, what will that be, 5th position now, and his next target will be Simon Clark. Now remember that those two are actually in the same class, and it will be, in terms of podium, it will be the podium will see the winners of each of the classes up there, which, let's just have a look and see who we got. Darren Goes is obviously leading the Class S. It is the number 14 car of Callum McDougall and Ben Simonds leading Class A. Gary Burstow 106 leading the Class B, which puts him 9th overall. Number 4, Simon Reed in the Mini JCW is leading Class C, 15th overall. Have we got more? Yes, we have. We've got the 82 car of Paul Hatton is leading Class G. I'm not sure whether they're coming up onto the grid, they don't tend to. But we've then got the 88 car of John Cooper and Alistair Kellett leading Class D. And I do think that is all of the classes.
I think that's one of the first pitters as well. That's the Alex Tate Fiesta, or is it too early?
I think, because normally we would get pit window open, so if it is...
might be a mechanical issue there instead.
I don't know what they're doing, because of course the fact that the race was put down to 30 minutes, it may well be that it is okay.
And he's re-emerging now, so...
Because otherwise it's going to be a very short pit window, isn't it? And I'm not sure how they're going to do it, because normally it's a 45-minute race, and it's between 15 and 30 minutes into the race.
We have seen a fastest sector of Sector 1 from the McDougal Simon Caterham. So the white Caterham is, although about 1.1 seconds off Goes, is still trying to really hard to catch the Seat. Watch for the little lightweight Caterham in number 14 in 2nd position. Got a smoking car as it went round the Seat, I think. I think that was the number 3 car of Maris as he came through Westfield, and there we go, he's pulling off at Dingle-Dell. There's a...
Well spotted, Eagle Eye.
Car pulling off at Dingle-Dell. Well, don't speak too soon, I'm not open beers.
No, but you've still spotted that it was, especially through that lens as they come through there, it's so filthy that you can hardly see anything. And through go the leaders. That is now 5 laps completed. It is still Darren Goes from Callum McDougall and Ben Simonds in the number 14 Caterham. Third is still the 66 BMW of David Gardner and Chris Mills. Simon Clark sat there in 4th, and he's not really making any inroads, is he? Whatever happened in terms of the sort of false start that he did, he's not making any inroads. Interestingly, I wonder whether the number 11 car had an issue.
No, it's dropping down, so yeah.
It is him, yeah. But the number 11 car, just, I think it's a mixture of that now the Steele's past him and suddenly banging in some good lap times. But yeah, it's 4th position Clark, 5th position Steele in the black Saxo, number 10. Still 6th position, number 11, the MR2 Speedster, just about to turn left at Surtees, but it's dropped way back considering he was defended not that long ago.
It's on fire. Marit's car is on fire at Dingle.
Is it?
Yeah.
The camera's kind of panning round, but it keeps missing it. It's zoomed in a bit too far, and we can't quite see where it is at the minute. Yeah, was it fire or was it just smoke? So I think that they've just sort of making sure that it's not, because they got the marshals there with now the pit window is open. So if that was a pit, and in fact it's come straight back in again, so I think that car just came in a little bit early. So we now get the start of the pit windows. Remember, some of these cars, they will be changing drivers, and yeah, just seeing that everything's okay with that car, isn't it? Just had the volume up, so that's good.
That's a shame for Maris dropping right down. He was running well as well. He's having a good performance earlier on, but he's pulled off at Dingledale with a smoky Seat there, so shame for the Seat machine. Look at this battle for the lead still, and they're now picking their way through the back markers.
We've just seen the background as they came through Hawthorne, someone just span slightly and just got it gathered back up again, and they are on their way, so no real drama, but I just suddenly saw it in the background that someone had a bit of a moment. Can't really make out on that camera.
Fastest lap of anyone, last lap for the McDougal, Simon Caterham. So the Caterham there in second has just gone quicker than Darren Goes has ever done in this race, and that gap is coming down. It's 1.1 this time around, and the Caterham is definitely still there. One mistake from Goes in this greasy circuit and he'll be falling into trouble with the McDougal Simon Caterham behind.
I was about to say we'd lost the 23 car of Clark, but it suddenly popped back up again, so it had a bit of an issue with its transponder. The car that we did have the spin, I was just wondering where this one had gone, and that's the 35 car of Steve Gales, just coming across the line in the BMW 2 Series, behind now Reed in the number 4 Mini JCW. So it's him that had a bit of a moment that sent him tumbling down through the order. 4th in class, 14th overall he now sits. So that's a real shame for Clark. As I said, if he doesn't have bad luck, he doesn't have any luck at all in that beautiful BMW M2. And look at this gaggle still coming across the line here. This includes a number of the guest classes, which you know, had to start from the back. Let's not forget that they don't actually come up on the podium, which is a shame. Darren, that's close. Look at that.
Yeah, it's really closing up. Got held up a little bit behind that back marker. And is anyone? Yeah, there we go. The battle will have to resume after the pit stops, because into the pits comes the McDougal Simon Caterham. Leaves Darren Goes out front on his own at the moment. How will this play out now with the Caterham with its indicator on coming down the pit lane and stopping?
And the BMW 66 BMW of Gardner and Mills has carried on, as has Clark
and Steele.
So Steele's ahead of Clark.
Yeah, Steele's got ahead of Clark in the little Citroen Saxo, the most potent Citroen Saxo you'll see around. He's really flying today. He's got past the Porsche Boxster now, and Clark won't like that. What can he do as he goes into Druids? He does lose a little bit of ground, runs a bit wide in the black and orange Boxster. But now the pit stops are happening. We have lost that lead battle for now. Goes and McDougal Simon battle will have to resume after the stops. Wait and see when that Caterham will make its way back out onto circuit.
That Porsche is dropping fluid of some description. That's all the way down the pit lane. So that's the 48 car that we saw seem to be doing something in terms of a tyre change when they were under red flag conditions. But you can see the whole way down that car has just been dropping fluid of some description, and I'm sure the marshals will be desperately having a look to see what it is, whether it's something that we need to be wary of, and where else on the circuit has it deposited anything. If it's just water, then it's not going to be the end of the world, but it's difficult to tell from up here. They're certainly pinging the bonnet up to have a look to see what the issue is.
More issues for the 8th place car, the Tester and Timpson MR2 that pulled off in qualifying at the same spot, has pulled off again. And from 8th position out of 45 cars, pretty devastating to pull off there in so close to, well, only 16 minutes to go. They're almost there. And the second driver in the Tester Timpson car won't get a chance. The MR2's parked.
Yeah, I'm just still trying to see whether this fluid that's all the way down the pit lane, and you can still see more coming out, that is it going to be something that is going to be slippy for them. Now that the Saxo of Steel has got past Clark, the Porsche, the black and orange Porsche, they're just making their way up towards Druids at the moment, and that is for third and fourth overall, and that is actually for the lead in the class. Let's not lose sight, as it means as it stands at the moment, because obviously the Caterham of McDougal and Simon, the number 14, the white Caterham, has pitted already. That means that those two are fighting for the class, but suddenly Clark has dropped away. Something's not quite right with that Porsche. That's not performing how I would expect it to be.
And not
performing.
how it did in qualifying either.
No, and it looked fine until it suddenly went across the line and made that move a lot earlier than he should have done. He backed off, and I thought he was just doing that on purpose, and the next thing is that he's
falling down the order.
Exactly. Right, well, that number 48 Porsche is carrying back out to circuit. So I'm assuming that whatever the fluid is okay. The marshals are down just checking it out, and I'm assuming it's just water or something like that. We'll find out if it goes pop.
Now, when the second place car that was second place, the Caterham, has rejoined, when will Darren Goes look at that? If he hasn't already, we're trying to pick up where he is.
Just coming round now.
Yeah, and he should. Not this time, he goes for another one. So how are we doing with time? 14 minutes to go.
Through goes Darren Goes again, so he's going to be pitting fairly soon, and I know that I've just got another message in that says the tester MR2 down there has actually, he had fluid coming before he pitted, before he stopped down here behind us here, so that red MR2 was dropping fluid somewhere, no matter what.
Yeah, and he's managed to stop it on the right hand side of the circuit this time, which is very handy and out of the way for the marshals.
Yeah, we've got a creepy crawly on the camera now, as we can see there. Quite a freaky looking creepy crawly at that as well. So,
but with 13 and a half minutes to go, the order is a bit mixed up at the moment, because Darren Goes, Steele and Clark, the top three, haven't taken to the pit lane. 10 seconds the gap between Goes and Steele in the Saxo. There's quite a lot of activity in the pits at the moment, but still no Darren Goes. The number 11 Toyota MR2 is in. That's the Jones and Jones pair in. They will now drop down the order at the pit stop.
now interestingly, we just had, well, it was actually 16 minutes ago. Sorry, Gary Lewis, I've only just seen this. Gary Lewis tweeted saying Caterham spun on the way to Graham Hill Bend. We missed that one. That must be one of the Caterhams a bit further down, because I'm sure that wasn't the leader that managed to do that, the Callum McDougall Ben Simonds one. So it was one a little bit further back, but thankfully going. But yeah, Conor Ambrose said there was fluid coming from the left rear of the 111 Tester and Timpson MR2 before it pulled off. So again, hopefully nothing that's going to be tricky, but it doesn't look to have caused anyone an issue at this stage. And Darren Goes continues.
Yeah, and
to
do
go.
any of the other top three pull in? Yeah, here we go. So we've got pit stops for the second and third position. Is Goes leaving this a bit late now?
He possibly is. I mean, you apparently you don't need to have finished your pit stop by the time the pit window is closed. You have to obviously just come in before the pit window closes. So he needs to make sure he's going to get this one right. Down is running actually line astern here for the 66 David Gardner and Chris Mills BMW, and in fact in comes the Porsche as well.
A little pit stop battle going on here, because the Saxo and the Boxer have been almost wheel to wheel throughout the race, and now they've joined the pits at the same time. Who's going to get out? Hopefully they'll get out together again.
Gardner and Mills have gone out, and you can see that actually the Caterham of McDougal and Simon is already going down the Cooper straight there. The BMW that is just behind him is just going up there, so they've kind of lost out a little bit there. We've got the Steel Saxo is waiting to finish its what must feel like an eternity whilst they're in there. The number 11 Jones and Jones MR2 is back out, and that is allegedly behind the 66 BMW that's already made its way around. But we need to let this just settle itself half down. We've got 11 minutes 10 seconds remaining. Simon Clark in the black and orange Porsche Boxster number 23. That sat in the pits as well. We can see the Saxo is still in his rear view mirror.
Safety car at the very end of the pit window. So this could mix it up, and Darren Goes hasn't even made it round yet, has he? So
he's just coming now, so surely he's going to dive in now.
Under safety car as well. He could, Yep. In comes Goes with the lights ablaze on the Seat, and where has that happened? So we know we've got cars stuck at Hawthorns and one at Westfield, so Dingledale. There's one at Dingledale Park, but that's been there a few laps. There must be someone else who's left the tarmac somewhere out of sight.
We've got a few of them now charging out of the pits and sort of tripping over each other to a little extent, but now Steele in the Saxo is making his way out, and Clark was going already. That's interesting, because that means it isn't, because they were already that way round. But what I was going to say, the fact that Clark was already starting to exit the pits means that there wasn't an awful lot in that one. So we're not sure what this safety car is for at the moment. Don't know whether there's anything else that's been deposited fluid-wise on the circuit. Have a look to see whether the 48 Porsche is still circulating, because I know that one was having a few issues with dumping fluid somewhere, so we'll just see whether it's suddenly run out of fluid and stopped itself somewhere risky out on circuit. Darren Goes still sits in the pits as we speak, and just waiting for that time to go down. This could he may just about get away with this, and the fact that he's managed to get in early enough before the rest of this field start piling up on each other. And I think Colin Mann's going to tell us what has happened there, so that will be good to find out. Are you the wiser, Colin? It's at Sterling's. We're told it's at Sterling's, but we don't know what. Okay, so we couldn't quite see which one it was, but I am, as I say, I'm keen to just see whether the 48 Porsche, the black and yellow, no, that's coming around here, so the only reason I questioned that was because we saw it kicking the fluid out all the way down the pit lane, and it's gone back out again, so that is okay. Darren Goes now exits the pits, and this potentially has worked out just about right for him. The reason why I question it is that if it had been a little bit later and everybody is suddenly gaggled behind each other, is that he could end up finding himself losing a whole host of positions, but not quite in late enough, so he should, with a bit of luck for him, be a-okay. Just flicking through the channels, because there is allegedly potentially a tracker on one of these. No, I don't think we have got it on one of these channels, have we? Which is a shame, because it would have given us a bit of an idea. The problem is there's so many of these, and they're all sort of all over the place with regards to the pit stops and everything else, that we can't even tell which one it is that's likely to have stopped, because normally you're able to watch them start plunging down the list, aren't you? But not able to.
We have only 7.5 minutes left, so the safety car still trying to bunch them all up, but there's so many cars around. We've got them all in different packs. Graham Hill Bend, Surtees, and coming down Bradham Straight and out in the Grand Prix loop as well. So 7 minutes about right left to go.
I'm wondering whether that looks like the 53 car, the bright yellow Tor McLeod Seat Leon. That looks like that is more than just a stop. That looks pit stop. That looks like it has completely stopped. Another car further up the order, the number 29 car that is sat in there as well.
The pit window still remains open, doesn't it, under the safety car? But I don't think 6 minutes left. It's a bit of a different spell, as you can see with the 45-minute race. It has completely changed the setup of this one, but on the timing screen it Goes with the lead on 12 laps done.
By a long way it'll be, because because Darren Goes already heading up towards Druids, and then it's going to be, you know, we're still looking off to the distance to wait to see the white Caterham of number 14 McDougal and Simon. Wait for that one to come into view. That car by the screen should be sat there in second, Steele in third. That means a car that's really lost out there is actually the 66 BMW of Gardner and Mills, because it's now showing down in sixth position, meaning that it's dropped behind Steele, Simon Clark in the black and orange Porsche number 23, and it's dropped behind the 65 car. Where did that start? The Warren Allen Janetta, who started in 13th position, according to that, is now ahead of him, although I'm not sure. That may have just been, he's done a recent stop, so we're not sure whether that's going to be the case. Well, there's the Caterham, and unfortunately this has really gone awry actually, because the Caterham's the one that's behind the safety car. Darren Goes, that is the leader, is miles ahead of it and pulling further away.
Yeah, it hasn't helped the battle, which was brewing so well before the pit stop, so the safety car has hurt any chance of the Caterham versus Seat tussle again out front. But sometimes what happens in the longer races with pit stops thrown in as well, safety car comes at just the wrong time.
Well, yeah, because the point being is they've got to pick up the leader, and they don't know who the leader is, especially as the leader came into the pits at the time when the safety car came out, so there's no way that the safety car can pick up the leader. And it just now transpires that the car that is sat there is the second place car, McDougal Simon, just behind him the Saxo Steel, Clark just behind them. Then I think we've got an interloper or two before we then get to the silver BMW with the orange wheels, is then sat in fifth position. Just behind him is the Janetta that is now sat there in sixth place. Gary Burstow, which is the BMW just behind him, the black BMW, is in seventh place. Then it's the Toyota MR2 Roadster that is the next in the line, which is number 8, is running 8. So again, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 interlopers between him and Gary Burstow. Then it's the 1, 2, 3 BMW of Hyde, which is then 2 places back on the road, because there's a Clio interloper, the number 9 car, in between.
Darren Goes is now just about joining the back of the train behind the safety car, a long way back.
Yikes. But not a long way back, a long way ahead. Yes, exactly. He's basically about to lap everybody, is the way that's worked out. But there's nothing you can do if the safety car's coming out at that point. And as I say, apologies, don't actually know which one it is that has stopped. We could be the 63 car is in the pit, so it's not that one. Or else we know has stopped. It could be the Tester and Timpson have stopped already. No, we've still got to let this calm down a minute on the timing screen before we can make any sense of who it is that's potentially stopped out on circuit. But apparently it is at Stirling's again. That seems to be quite an active corner.
It's so inviting to drive into, I bet, when you've got all that banking to use to turn in quick. But a bit too keen on the power exit in it. Drop a wheel on the grass and you'll cross the road and in that barrier on the left. So it's an easy bend to fall off the road, and that's what we've seen twice already today. A lot of races still to go.
Yeah. Well, we've only got 2 3/4 minutes left to go, so I can't see.
Safety car lights are out, aren't they?
You're right, yeah.
Yep, safety car lights are out and it is disappearing. So the safety car turns right, and it's a bit of a strange scenario, because what we're watching here is the battle for second. The leader is a long way back on the road technically, but in the lead on the timing screen. So Darren Goes, you can't even see him yet, he's still probably exiting Stirling's. He's the actual leader of this one, but this battle you're watching as they come into Paddock Bend with 2 and a bit minutes to go is the battle for second place. So the Caterham is in second, third is the Steele Citroen Saxo, and fourth is the Gardner and Mills partnership. That's fourth is Clark. Clark again fell off the timing screen there, but has now come back. So there must be a transponder issue, some form of issue with the Porsche. But the Caterham is then that leads the battle for second. Where is Darren Goes? He is the leader on the road, and he's around Druid's hairpin now, just picking his way through the traffic. What a strange situation this is for him. He's leading the race by a very long way, but he's got to pick his way through all of these back markers. I must feel like he's one of them really, but he's not. He is the race leader. He's leading it after that mix-up with the pit stops, not helped by the safety car being called just at the end of the pit window. That's really mixed up this order.
And ironically, I know I was looking for the black and yellow Porsche, the 48, but I believe that it could well be the 25 Porsche, Jamie McHugh, the white with the red flashes Porsche 944 that's gone missing. Yes, we just confirmed it's white one. So yes, that's the one that we're missing at Sterling's and cleared up, and we're going to be having literally this 2-lap sprint in the distance, and Darren Goes is sort of picking his way through, but he doesn't need to do anything daft, does he? He's a lap ahead, such as the way it fell. But look at this, a great fight for what looks like second and third, but it's actually for third and fourth. But this is for a class lead. That's the important part. The Saxo and the Porsche. This is for the class lead, and Simon Clark now makes his way past Steele, takes the lead of the particular class that they're in, which I'll just remind myself now is actually for Class A. So Simon Clark takes the lead of that class. He gets himself to be making an appearance on the podium, and at the moment Steele in that Saxo has not managed to keep himself in a position that's going to enable him to take the podium. Darren Goes is about to come through, and in fact with 10 seconds left to go, they're waving the checkered flag at Darren Goes. So there we go, that is the end of the race for him, but not for these guys. It is still comfortably in that second place is the number 14 McDougal and Simon car. Then it is Clark, and I wonder whether that Steele Saxo just seems to be a little bit off the pace, although he wasn't when he came through.
No, it
just looks it, doesn't it?
Horsepower down the Bradford Straight really came into its own there.
But even as he's turning left at Surtees there, he just looks slightly off the pace, but it obviously isn't. He's going to be okay. Suddenly all of them that have taken a checkered flag are sort of taking it steady up through Druids, but we need to wait still for this fight between the Porsche of Clark. And of course, sorry, that isn't for class lead, apologies, it's the caterer McDougal Simon is taking that class lead, so it isn't for the class lead. I was right to get excited, but not as excited as I was, so we'll wait to see. It will be the caterer McDougal and Simon that's going to come through and take the Class A victory. We should see him any moment now. Need to wait for this because he's the one that's going to be making his way onto the podium. Here he comes now, and he's going to see that the rest of the cars are already following their way in, that he just
right about the Saxo
down. It does look like he's off.
Yeah, it dropped off the back of the Porsche a bit there on the last lap, but
second place overall, but more importantly it is the Class A victory. Simon Clark's going to be disappointed that he finished second in the Class A. Steele comes through to take third.